Also, we're going to need to talk a little bit about how we name acids. We're going to talk about acids mostly in Chem 105 if you're taking that class, but we do have to introduce it here just because they're so common in a couple of the reactions that we're going to be doing. First of all, you should recognize in a formula for an acid, it always has this kind of look to it. It's some number of hydrogens with some sort of negatively charged thing, right? So this is kind of what we're going to be looking for. You'll notice that on the lab that I gave you, everything italicized on that final set of pages there is trying to tell you that it's in some sort of acid, right? And so it's a little special to take a formula and turn it into an acid name, but I'll show you how to do it. It's pretty straightforward if you just have your polyatomic ion list. And so let's take a look. So here's a list of kind of interrelated acids here. You'll notice the H out in front kind of screams at you that it's some sort of acid that we have to name. And so let's just go through and name these guys. This is hydrochloric acid, and we'll talk about why in just a second. This is a chlorous acid, and this is a chloric acid. And I'm sure that you're having a great time, almost as much fun as I'm having right now. Well, where the heck did these names come from? Well, it turns out that it has to do with the ion that is the anion, specifically, how we name these things. If it's a simple something from the periodic table, you simply take hydro, plug in whatever that thing is with an IC ending, and then add acid, right? So this Cl becomes hydrochloric acid. If that was a Br, hydrobromic acid. You get the idea. So what the heck is going on with these two? Well, it turns out that if you're looking at an anion that is itself a polyatomic, you have to know the name of the polyatomic. And if you look this up, the name of that thing is called a chlorite. And it turns out the way that you name acids that contain something that ends in ITE is to simply take the ITE, drop it, and change it to us. So this becomes chlorous acid, right? So that is dropped. It becomes us. Isn't that fun? Thank you, Germans. This guy right here, well, that guy is a chlorate. And as you can probably tell, is that what you do is you take the name of the polyatomic, you drop the 8 and add IC. It's a huge pain in the butt, but naming acids is something that is going to help us out just a little bit. Just real quickly here, we'll show if we have a name of an acid, how to turn it into a formula, and then we can finally be done with this naming topic for a little while. Okay, so here are 3 different names of acids, and if you just saw what I was talking about in terms of taking a formula and turning it into a name into a formula is kind of following the same pattern. Well, if you see the hydro as a prefix and the ic acid, that means it's just a simple 2-part acid, right? Well, what do you have to do? You have to know the charge on the phosphorus, right? Phosphide is a 3-, and that means that we're going to add enough of this H plus stuff, the H1 plus, to overall end up with a balanced formula. So this is really very similar to the ionic stuff that we've been talking about. That side has to equal that side. How do you do that? Well, you do the Crossy trick. And what that's really telling us is that we need 3 H pluses in there, which you probably can't read anyway. Phosphorus acid had to have come from the ITE polyatomic, so phosphorite, or phosphite, I should say, is PO3 3-. Therefore, if we want this thing to combine with H pluses, overall, that's going to be what the formula looks like. And you might see the same pattern here. Ic, right, corresponds to the 8 version. And I'm really falling off the edge of the planet here. So phosphoric acid looks like that. Quite honestly, if you can't name acids consistently, it's not a big deal. Really, the thing to concentrate most of your energy on is how to name normal ionic and covalent compounds. I just decided to include this video so to help you out with the lab specifically a little bit.